You're listening to the number one Nielsen-rated, the News Hour with Noam Laden.
The best.
Thank you for listening. 77 WABC.
The best.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Sponsored by Secure Cash, LLC. Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me, 5 o'clock. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 29th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way. High 71. Tonight and overnight, the clouds, they hang around, low 62. And then Friday looks nice. There'll be some clouds in the morning, but sunshine in the afternoon, high 75. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 54 cloudy in Chappaqua up in Westchester County, 55 and cloudy in Flemington over in New Jersey, and it's 56 with a little bit of drizzle right outside our Midtown studios.
The top 5 at 5.
Cops say a dog did not kill a baby in Brooklyn. There's talk of raising the minimum wage to $30 an hour. Did the justice system fail a mom on life support? A Long Island man gets a 3D nose. And a Brooklyn woman proves it's never too late to go back to school. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. It's all about tonight. Can the Knicks hold on down in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Pacers 3-1? The series returns to the Garden tonight. Knicks fans holding out hope. In fact, at the NBA store on Fifth Avenue, they were buying up Knicks sports gear. Now, let's hope that isn't a curse. I mean, you're buying it up and then they lose tonight.
Hopefully they just win. That's it. That's what I want. I just want them to win. To be honest.
Okay, as for the Knicks' chances of advancing to the series, well, not too many teams come back from 3-1. 13 teams have, though, so maybe the Knicks will be in the 14th.
We're hoping they made it, and luckily it's 3-1, so it'll be a good game.
I'll keep it alive, yeah.
Okay, you're confident.
Yeah, sport can do anything in sport.
Okay, the Thunder, they're already headed to the NBA Finals. They cut down the Timberwolves 124-94, Game 5 from Oklahoma to secure that spot. So the Pacers could earn their right to play if they win tonight in New York. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Of course, Justin will have more coming up in sports at 5:15. There's been a disturbing turn now in the story of a 1-year-old in Queens that was mauled to death. Actually, it's a 1-month-old in Queens who was mauled to death by a family dog Tuesday morning.
On Wednesday, the city's medical examiner ruled the death of 1-year-old Kiana Winfield was not caused by a dog mauling as first reported. The office did not say why she died. A source telling NBC New York that Kiana's dog injuries were inflicted after she was already dead. Winfield's mother told police Kiana had been sleeping between her and her boyfriend Tuesday, and she awoke to see the German Shepherd Pit Bull mix attacking Kiana. The dog's been taken from the home. The investigation is continuing. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
And a neighbor actually saying early this morning that police have visited this family in particular a number of times in recent months. 5:03. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy providing an update on the problems at Newark International Airport, and he says it's going to take a while to fix them.
This is a safe system and there's redundancies, but I'm concerned that we could have more of Newark's.
Duffy says the FAA's Tracon facility out in Philly, which oversees Newark's airspace, will get 16 more air traffic controllers, but it won't be till the fall. That's the number currently working out of Tracon after 5 controllers took mental health leave last month, saying they were traumatized by their communication systems going dark for 90 seconds. Duffy says Newark Airport will get a new telecom system and runway in the coming months, but again, in the coming months.
This truly is a moment to look at what kind of system we're using, what kind of equipment we use, what kind of telecom we use. And it's a call to action to make sure we build a brand new air traffic control system.
In the meantime, the FAA has slowed down the number of flights coming in and out of Newark. Duffy, he's asking Congress for billions of dollars to gut aging airport infrastructure around the country. We rebuild it, in some cases, from scratch. 5:04. President Trump says he did not chicken out on tariffs. He was in the Oval Office yesterday when a reporter asked him about the acronym TACO, coined by the Financial Times, the newspaper. It stands for Trump always chickens out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country.
The president called the question nasty. He insisted the pauses in tariffs have worked to bring countries to the bargaining table.
We have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? Because we have $14 trillion now invested, committed to investing when Biden didn't have practically anything. We have the hottest country in the world right now. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead.
Meanwhile, a federal court has ruled that an emergency law does not provide President Trump with the authority to impose tariffs on nearly every nation.
The three-judge panel on the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled unanimously, blocking a series of tariff announcements dating back to February that has shaken up financial markets. The Trump administration can appeal, which would go to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. I'm Brian Shook.
5:05, Elon Musk says he's disappointed in President Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill. In a preview of an interview that's set to air this weekend on CBS Sunday Morning, Musk says he feels the massive spending bilge undermines the work that DOGE did. Of course, he led that team in what it's doing now.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both.
The bill, which passed the House last Thursday, looks to extend tax cuts from the president's first term back in 2017, would boost border and deportation funding, among other things.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
Meanwhile, you've no doubt probably heard, Elon Musk says he's going to leave DOGE now.
The billionaire posted on X that as his time as a special government employee comes to an end, he'd like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. Musk has helped to lead the Department of Government Efficiency since it was established in January. He concluded his post saying the DOGE mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government. As a special government employee, Musk was allowed to work for the administration for 130 days in a calendar year. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And the Federal Reserve now say they're worrying about the difficult trade-offs if tariffs re-aggravate inflation.
According to minutes released from their meeting earlier this month, officials are concerned tariffs could create a difficult issue with interest rate policy. However, officials ultimately decided the best course was to keep rates steady, with the benchmark federal funds rate in a target between 4.25% to 4.5%. I'm Brian Shook.
WABC News Time 509. President Trump says we'll find out soon if Vladimir Putin wants to end the war in Ukraine. He says it'll be revealed soon if Putin, he says, is tapping us along or if he's serious about actually signing some sort of peace agreement.
If he is, we'll respond a little bit differently, but it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks. They seem to want to do something, but until the document is signed, I can't tell you. Nobody can.
President again said yesterday the violence has to stop in Ukraine.
I can say this, that I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed.
From Ukraine, we head over to the Middle East. Efforts by a new aid group to distribute food to Palestinians in war-torn Gaza reported to have erupted in chaos yesterday. Correspondent Matt Bradley reports that thousands of Palestinians rushed an aid distribution site in Rafah, resulting in the Israeli military firing warning shots into the air.
The Americans who were apparently manning it, according to our local team in the Gaza Strip, stepped away and let all of these people loot the whole place, including all of the aid and even the tables and chairs that were being used for its distribution.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, backed by the U.S. and Israel, says it gave out about 8,000 food boxes yesterday after a 3-month Israeli blockade. The UN, other groups have refused to work with that group, contending that it plans to weaponize aid and contradict humanitarian principles. Bradley reports that one of the Gaza Foundation distribution points continues to be mobbed.
This is a bad look for a group that has been dogged by negative press ever since its inception, and the whole plan here has been criticized as a front for the Israeli government's attempt to try to control the distribution of aid in the Gaza Strip. The trickle of aid that is coming in hasn't been nearly enough to meet the demand for a population of more than 2 million people. And then just yesterday, we saw that the maiden effort to try to distribute aid through a U.S.-backed organization called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation ended in a massive crisis.
WABC News Time 5:11. Let's bring it back home. It's the time of year when the Supreme Court starts issuing opinions in high-profile cases, including ones that affect the nation's immigration policies. The justices will decide the fate of an executive order aimed at ending birthright citizenship, which Texas Congressman Chip Roy thinks is a slam dunk.
This is a subject that I care intensely about because, we see it in Texas all the time in our country. Birthright citizenship is being exploited.
The Texas Republican says that clarifying the 14th Amendment would shut off an illegal immigration magnet. President Trump used an executive order on his first day in office to end automatic citizenship for everybody born on U.S. soil.
It's very clear what the president doing is right. It is good policy, and we should stand behind it. There's whole industries, cottage industries that have popped up from China across through the cartels in Mexico, all profiting on this.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out in the coming days. 5:12. The president planning to look into the convictions of those involved in the failed 2020 plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
It looked to me like somewhat of a railroad job. I'll be honest with you. It looked to me like some people said some stupid things. They were drinking, and I think they said stupid things, but I'll take a look at that.
The president's been handing out a lot of pardons lately. Adam Fox and Barry Croft Jr. convicted for the kidnapping plot, which involved plans to take the governor from her vacation home at the height of the pandemic because they were angry with the government-imposed restrictions.
A lot of people are asking me that question from both sides, actually. A lot of people think they got railroaded. A lot of people think they got railroaded.
Fox was convicted in 2022, sentenced to 16 years in prison, while Croft, who was believed to be the brains behind the plot, was sentenced to 19 years. So others have been pardoned. Now, Savannah Chrisley says she still doesn't believe it's real. After President Trump pardoned her parents, she spoke to reporters outside the Pensacola, Florida prison where her father was released yesterday.
It's been absolutely insane, and I'm just so grateful that I'm going to leave here with my dad.
All right, if you're not a reality show freak, it was Todd and Julie Christie starred in the Chrisley Knows Best reality series. It was on from 2014 to 2023. They were convicted of bank fraud, tax evasion charges back in 2022. Savannah Chrisley says that her parents were treated unfairly from everyone she has spoken to, and she thanks the president for pardoning her parents.
We're excited. It's all God. We literally could not have done it. It's all God and President Trump at this point, so...
And a pardon was granted to former New York Congressman Michael Grimm, pardoned by the president yesterday. The 55-year-old GOP member served 2 terms in Congress representing Staten Island and Brooklyn before being forced out. This was 2015 after pleading guilty to underreporting taxable income from a Manhattan restaurant he owned. Grimm, a former FBI agent and Marine, served 7 months behind bars. He was paralyzed, actually, from the chest down last September after being thrown from a horse during a polo match. 5:14. Let's talk about the president and his relationship with Harvard University. He does not hold them in high regard.
Look, Harvard has been a disaster.
Trump and Harvard have engaged in a war of words after the president yanked all federal contracts from the school over claims it hasn't addressed anti-Semitism on the campus. Trump says the school was exposed by taking $5 billion from the government despite having a $52 billion endowment.
It's been exposed, very exposed, and I think they're dealing very badly. Every time they fight, they lose another $250 million. Yesterday we found another $100 million. $5 billion plus. $5 billion. Nobody knew that they were making this cut. If we didn't do this, we would have never found this out.
And the Trump administration continuing its crackdown on international students. Correspondent Peter Alexander has more.
The administration is ordering embassies to stop scheduling interviews with students seeking visas to study in the U.S. and to expand its screening of applicants' social media.
Now, we don't have a whole lot of details about what is going on here, but there'll be some sort of social media vetting that would screen these students before they were allowed into the U.S. This came from a cable that was signed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, dated Tuesday, and they said further guidance, as they were sent out to the embassies, would come in the coming days. All right, 5:15. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, where it is the beginning of, well, potentially could be 3 games that are do or die for the Knicks, right, Justin Ellick?
Well, not potentially, no more. If they lose one game, the season's over. All three.
That's true.
All 3 of them are not potentially. They are do or die.
Well, every game is do or die. You're right.
Yeah. So you got to win.
I dropped the potentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Drop that moving forward. My goodness gracious.
Okay, children.
Everybody convene now. Dinner time. 8 p.m. tonight. We are all looking ahead to that big Game 5 Nome-laden of the Eastern Conference Finals. Our Knicks, they're back home at the Garden, welcoming in the Indiana Pacers. Down 3-1, backs against the wall. Every game here from on out is an elimination game, I should say. And for tonight's Game 5, the Knicks, they are 4.5-point favorites from OKC last night. We do have one half of this year's NBA Finals all sorted out. The Thunder beat the Timberwolves 124-94, and they handily take care of Minnesota, winning that series 4-1, punching their ticket to this year's NBA Finals. First time they've been, I believe, since 2012. To the Diamond in Anaheim, Clark Schmidt allowed 4 hits over 6 sharp innings, and the Yankees made a first-inning run stand-up in a 1-0 victory over the LA Angels. Schmidt struck out 4 and walked 1 in a fantastic 99-pitch effort to help the AL East leaders complete a 3-game sweep. Yankees starting pitchers have a Major League best 2.54 ERA over their last 39 games and have limited opponents to no more than 1 run in 22 of those outings. The Yankees have won 5 straight and 9 of 10. Ian Hamilton threw an inning and 2/3. Tim Hill got the last out of the 8th, and Mark Leiter Jr. struck out 2 in the 9th for his second save. Paul Goldschmidt opened the game with a double. Trent Grisham struck out. Aaron Judge was walked intentionally. Cody Bellinger walked to load the bases, and thereafter Anthony Volpe lofted a sacrifice fly to center field for that 1-0 lead that stuck. Up next for the Yanks, an off day today before staying in Los Angeles to open up a big World Series rematch set against the Dodgers tomorrow night. In Queens, the Mets were unable to complete the series sweep of the Chicago White Sox, falling 9-4 in last night's finale. Mark Vientos had a 3-run homer for the Mets, whose 4-game winning streak ended with the loss. Pete Alonso had an RBI double in the 9th. The 9 runs allowed were a season high for the Mets. Juan Soto, he was 0 for 4 and didn't get a ball out of the infield, as his batting average dipped to a lowly .224. $765 million slugger hasn't homered since May 9th, a span of 75 plate appearances. Mets right-hander Griffin Canning gave up 5 runs, 3 earned, while walking 4 in 3 innings. Up next for the Mets, an off day today before welcoming in the lowly Colorado Rockies for the weekend. And last night on the ice in the NHL, final from Carolina, the Panthers beat the Hurricanes 5-3. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers. They win that series in the Eastern Conference Final 4-1, and they are on their way to the Stanley Cup Final. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Hey, business owners, make your cash secure again with Secure Cash LLC. Transporting your business's cash safely in armored trucks. SecureCashLLC.com.
WABC News Time 520. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. considering a move to ban government scientists from publishing in leading medical journals.
During a podcast appearance, Kennedy Jr. said Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, and other journals are all corrupt. Although the publications are consistently ranked as the top medical journals in the world, Kennedy alleged they are vessels for pharmaceutical companies. Kennedy is proposing for agencies within HHS to create their own in-house journals that will become the preeminent journals in their field. I'm Brian Shook.
Florida says it's ready for the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season despite federal cuts at FEMA. National Weather Service meteorologist Robert Moletta says they're coordinating with forecast offices across the state to help out with resources and staffing.
Fortunately, our office in Miami was not really directly impacted, especially in the operational unit, by those actions.
Federal Emergency Management Agency already is down thousands of employees because of Trump administration cuts, is also under new orders to slash federal disaster spending. The new hurricane season, it starts on Sunday.
We are working closely with our neighboring forecast offices across the state. So we're working together in order to make sure that we can rely on each other for resources and staff.
522 from Florida. Let's go out to Las Vegas, where Vice President J.D. Vance praising cryptocurrency in a speech to attendees of the 2025 Bitcoin conference in the Sin City.
This movement of people is where the future of cryptocurrency in this great country gets decided. So let's start by making one thing abundantly clear. That future is going to be decided by the people, by you, not by unelected bureaucrats.
The conference centered on the popular form of cryptocurrency. Vance vowed that the Trump administration would support the industry.
And I'm here today to say loud and clear, with President Trump, crypto finally has a champion and an ally in the White House.
And he also expressed support for the Genius Act.
We're optimistic that the Senate is able to move quickly on passing a clean Genius Act and for the House to follow up and do the same. And of course, once that happens, our great President Trump will sign it into law the minute it comes across his desk.
523, the Department of Health and Human Services canceling a contract now with Moderna to create a bird flu vaccine.
A contract with the drug maker worth $590 million to develop a vaccine against the bird flu was announced before Trump took office. The illness normally only affects birds, but has also spread to humans. On Wednesday, Moderna said an early trial of its vaccine in about 300 adults showed a rapid and durable immune response. The HHS said, however, that after a rigorous review, it concluded that continued investment in the vaccine was not scientifically or ethically justifiable. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Down to Washington. Fun moment for WABC listeners as the former host, Jeanine Pirro, was sworn in as Washington, D.C.'s new U.S. attorney yesterday. President was on hand for that, praising Jeanine Pirro's work on behalf of crime victims while she served as a district attorney in Westchester.
Over 5 decades, Jeanine Pirro, known by millions as Judge Jeanine, has devoted her life to the pursuit of justice, the defense of freedom, and the fair, equal, and impartial rule of law.
Pirro says she's going to give children and the elderly who are victims of violent crime a voice now.
And I will well and faithfully.
And that I will well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties.
Discharge the duties.
Of the office upon which I am about to enter.
Of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And when she was finished with that oath, she had a warning for criminals in D.C.
My voice should be heard loud and clear. No more tolerance of hatred. No more mercy for criminals. Violence will be addressed directly with the appropriate punishment.
Congratulations to Judge Jeanine. 525. Federal government is getting involved in a California high school transgender athlete controversy. The Justice Department is looking into whether the state's law that lets transgender athletes compete in girls' high school sports violates federal civil rights law. Legislators at the state capitol are divided on this.
I appreciate that at least they acknowledge that trans people should be allowed to play sports.
This is unexcusable, and we need to have something done. Governor Newsom needs to pick a side and do something, do the right thing.
The move comes a day after President Trump threatened to withhold federal funding if a biological male from the Inland Empire would be allowed to compete in the high school state finals against girls in some track and field events. 526. A man is accused of breaking into the Beanie Babies founder's mansion in Santa Barbara County, California, and attacking a woman inside. Now, we don't know if she's a family member. The sheriff's office has released a little bit of the audio from the encounter.
The description will be black shirt, blue jeans, with a shaved or balding head.
So police describing this guy who broke in as Russell Fay. Now, it's not clear whether he knew it was the home of the Beanie Babies founders. I imagine they're pretty wealthy. Those things go for a lot of money. The 42-year-old Nevada van faces multiple charges, including attempted murder. The victim, who worked for Ty Warner, is in a coma now. Police reports suggest that Fay broke into the home with the intent to, steal from him.
He was last seen running into the residence, but the back door is open. Injured female who was found in the pond with a wound.
So far, police have not told us too much more about the crime that took place. Billy Joel not going to attend the Tribeca Film Festival this year.
Billy Joel's documentary, And So It Goes, will be having its world premiere opening night at the Tribeca Film Festival, but he will not be there. The New York Post reports he's sitting it out after being diagnosed with a brain disorder called normal pressure hydrocephalus. Actor Robert De Niro, who co-founded the festival, said, "We send our love and full support and wish him strength and a healthy recovery." Joel is canceling all of his upcoming tour dates through early next year as he recovers. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
You're listening to the number one Nielsen rated. The best. The News Hour with Noam Laden. The best. Thank you for listening. 77 WABC. The best. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Sponsored by Secure Cash, LLC. Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 29th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way. Could see a little rain this morning. The high going to be 71. Tonight and overnight, the clouds hang around, low 62. And then Friday starts off cloudy in the morning, but then we'll get sunshine in the afternoon. The high going to be 75. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 54 and cloudy in Chappaqua up in Westchester County, 55 and cloudy in Flemington over in New Jersey, and it's 56 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. We'll start this half hour right here in Midtown Manhattan, where former Governor Cuomo was holding a rally yesterday with a labor union, and he was calling for a minimum of a $20 an hour wage by 2027. He was being endorsed by department store clerks, food service workers, and bus drivers, who, of course, cheered this proposal for a $20 minimum hourly wage.
$20. That is the fair wage, and that's what we want, and that's what we're going to get passed.
Now, maybe what was more interesting than the $20 wage is that we never see him in public. And in fact, reporters who were there to see the announcement say he left through a side door without answering any questions. Now, so far, that seems to be working for him. He's way ahead in the polls in the Democratic primary, which happens next month. The minimum wage, by the way, in New York City right now is $16.50 an hour, which is more than double the national average. But Zohran Mamdani, who is in second place in these Democratic polls, wants an even higher minimum wage. He thinks it should be $30 by the year 2030.
No, because when you look at the statistics of what is a living wage in New York City today, it already is close to $30 an hour.
Scott Stringer, who's also in the race for mayor, says that Cuomo throws out all these ideas but never really follows through with them.
Everything that Andrew Cuomo talks about today is exactly the opposite of what he did in prior years.
And there's a new poll out this morning that shows that he's still the runaway favorite for the race that's taking place in June. WABC News Time 5:39. An autopsy revealing now that that 1-month-old baby that we believed had been mauled to death by the family dog was not mauled to death by the family dog. The medical examiner saying that that 1-month-old who was found in a Queens apartment early Tuesday morning dead was dead before the dog did something to it. It's not 100% clear. They're not telling us everything, but they're saying the death was not from the dog bite. Neighbors talked about the fact that they heard the screams coming from that apartment Tuesday morning, clearly in the moments when that baby was found dead.
I live right across the street, and my children go to school around that time, and it was a lot of people that was notified just from the scream alone.
Now, this is what we're being told. The autopsy revealed the injuries inflicted by the dog happened after the infant's death. Now they have to figure out how the baby died. Now, neighbors say that the police had been called to this apartment a number of times in recent months.
Because I only seen the baby like 2 days ago. Cops was always in this building because of them.
Yeah, so they also say 2 big dogs, including a pit bull, were inside this apartment. Now, police took away that German Shepherd, the puppy that attacked the little girl, the little infant, but not clear what's going to happen to that dog now that they're saying that it was after the baby was already gone. They say they promise to give us more details, of course, as they get more details on how this baby died. 541 out to Long Island. We told you earlier this week about a body found in a backyard pool over the weekend. A guy was opening his pool for the season on Sunday, where he found the body underneath the cover as he pulled it back. And now there's more evidence that it is this 23-year-old that police had been looking for. His name is Matthew Zoll, who has been accused of murdering his father back in November, had been on the run. Not clear if it is him, how long his body had been in this pool in East Shore. And police were talking about it yesterday.
Unfortunately, a homeowner went out to open his pool. They discovered a body. It was a loop block pool cover, but it appears that one of the portions of the loop block cover was undone.
And in a strange coincidence, the guy that owns the home where this body was found in the backyard pool, he's a Suffolk County police detective, so that's just odd. And he was on the same task force that was searching for Matthew Zoll. Now, Zoll, who is previously was diagnosed as schizophrenic, allegedly stabbed his 61-year-old father, Joseph, to death inside their Quail Road home in Rocky Point last November. Sources say Matthew Zoll was badly hurt from a car crash before he disappeared for months without a trace. So they're still trying to piece this all together, and they haven't 100% confirmed it's him just yet.
It's really sad, really crazy. You know, they've been looking for the guys for a very long time.
It's crazy. You know, nice, safe neighborhood, and just nuts.
Some neighbors speaking out yesterday. Meanwhile, no evidence of any kind of foul play in the backyard of that home.
The clothing, the fact that there were no shoes on the individual, we are investigating the strong possibility that it would be Matthew Zoll.
So right now they're awaiting DNA test results. 543, over to New Jersey. A teacher working at a Catholic high school in Edison has been accused of creating child porn. Axel Palomares, a Spanish teacher and girls soccer coach at St. Thomas Aquinas High, has been arrested, charged with creating and possessing child sex abuse material, child endangerment, invasion of privacy. A detective there says they received a tip from an app where they say apparently he was sharing these illicit exploits, these photos. That is, parents were told about this in the last couple days, and they want to know how long this teacher was involved. Did he photograph students at the school?
To me, somebody just doesn't do this under clear blue. This has been going on with, I think, the individual way back when. And, of course, they didn't catch it. And so this is what we're faced with.
Palomares is being held at the Middlesex County Adult Correctional Facility pending results of a pre-trial detention hearing. I imagine we'll hear more about this in the coming days. The so-called Crypto King of Kentucky remains held without bail here in New York City.
Wednesday, 37-year-old John Waltz waived his court appearance, charged with kidnapping and other charges. His attorneys appeared on his behalf. Waltz and another man, William Duplessis of Miami, are accused of kidnapping an Italian crypto investor and stealing his passport, tasing him, urinating on him, even taking him to the top of a staircase and threatening to toss him down, all in a bid to steal his crypto password. Duplessis surrendered to cops Tuesday. The entire alleged ordeal lasted 2 weeks at a rented Soho townhouse. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:45. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Nolan. We will look ahead to tonight. 8 p.m. tip-off at Madison Square Garden. Our Knicks are back home with their backs against the wall, down 3-1 to the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 5 tonight. The Knicks are 4.5-point favorites. Got to win 3 straight. From OKC last night, one half of this year's NBA Finals are now set. The OKC Thunder beating the Minnesota Timberwolves 124-94, and they win the Western Conference Finals 4-1, and they are on their way to this year's installment of the NBA Finals. Obviously, we'll meet either the Knicks or the Pacers there. In Anaheim on the diamond, Clark Schmidt allowed 4 hits over 6 sharp innings, and the Yankees made a first-inning run stand up in a 1-0 victory over the LA Angels. Schmidt struck out 4, walked 1 in a fantastic 99-pitch effort to help the AL East leaders complete a 3-game sweep. Yankees starting pitchers have a Major League best 2.54 ERA over the last 39 games and have limited opponents to no more than 1 run in 22 of those innings. The Yankees have won 5 straight in 9 of 10. Ian Hamilton threw an inning and 2/3. Tim Hill got the last out of the 8th. Then Mark Leiter Jr. struck out 2 in the 9th for his second save. Paul Goldschmidt opened the game with a double. Aaron Judge was walked intentionally. Cody Bellinger walked to load the bases thereafter. Anthony Volpe then lofted a sacrifice fly to center field for that 1-0 lead that stuck. Up next for the Yanks, an off day today before staying in L.A. to open up a big World Series rematch set against the Dodgers tomorrow night. In Queens, the Mets were unable to complete the series sweep of the Chicago White Sox, falling 9-4 in last night's finale. Mark Vientos hit a 3-run homer for the Mets, whose 4-game winning streak ended with the loss. Pete Alonso had an RBI double in the 9th. The 9 runs allowed were a season high for the Mets. Juan Soto, his struggles continued. He was 0 for 4. Didn't get a ball out of the infield as his batting average dipped to .224. The $765 million slugger hasn't homered since May 9th, a span of 75 plate appearances. Mets right-hander Griffin Canning gave up 5 runs, 3 earned, while walking 4 in 3 innings. Up next for the Mets, an off day today before welcoming in the lowly Colorado Rockies for the weekend. And on the ice last night, the final from Carolina saw the Panthers beat the Hurricanes 5-3. And they are now on their way back to the Stanley Cup Finals. They win that Eastern Conference Final Series 4-1. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. Let's give you an update on the story we did a couple weeks back. Do you remember this 44-year-old mother who was brutally beaten on a bike path on Randall's Island? And at the time, a police chief called it one of the worst crimes he had ever seen. That's how badly she was beaten up. Her name is Diana Agudelo. And at the time we told you this story, the prognosis was not good. In fact, a doctor said 99% chance that she passes away. That's how bad the injuries were. Well, some good news. She is doing better, which thank God. Meanwhile, they have caught the man who the police say committed the crime. He's this 30-year-old. His name is Miguel Gerard. He lives in a shelter on Randall's Island. He was on parole for a 2011 rape after a 12-year prison sentence. He was wearing an ankle monitor at the time. That's how they were able to tie him to the crime. Meanwhile, this woman, Diana Agudelo, her daughter is speaking out saying, why was this creep on the streets to carry out this crime against her mother?
The system failed my mother because this guy was on parole. They should have been checking his location. Why was he out?
And it seems like it was just a random attack. They did not know each other. He ended up not really stealing anything from her. So police have, maybe he was trying to rape her. We just don't know. Police have not said. Meanwhile, the daughter says her mother has a long road to recovery, but thank God she is alive.
If that guy wasn't out, this wouldn't have happened to my mom. Just don't ever release him.
Yeah.
Because he ruined my life. He ruined my family's life.
Now, the Agudelo family has launched a GoFundMe to pay all these bills. So far, they've raised about $71,000. 5:51. An MTA bus driver, another one attacked. This one in Sheepshead Bay. String of attacks on transit workers citywide. NYPD says the incident aboard a B68 bus. This was at the intersection of Coney Island Avenue and Avenue P. The driver got into a verbal dispute with a female passenger. That's when the female passenger hit her several times in the face with a purse before racing away from the scene.
Very bad that the driver have to take a beating driving people in the public transportation.
Of course not.
Cops released surveillance images of this wanted woman that they believe is responsible. They have not caught up with her. You might remember earlier this month an MTA cleaner was attacked while on duty, and what's been a series of attacks against MTA workers over the last couple years. 552, out to Brooklyn, police searching for a man they say is connected to a series of burglaries at a Jewish school in Kensington. The latest incident happened this past week, and it was caught on camera. You can see this guy climbing a fence, damaging a wall in the process. He got into the school and left with about $300.
The first time I'm hearing about something like that in terms of like a school.
Doesn't make sense. I don't understand why people do that. I think maybe there's something against the school, like anti-Semitism or something.
So that's some neighbors in the community. So 2 times. First, it happened in February, broke in through a side window to the school with a rock before leaving with a bag with cash in it. So now some people asking the question, does he know his way around the school? Has he been there before? Does he work there now?
They have to be affiliated with the building in some way to know where money is and to be able to do it on multiple occasions.
Yeah, so cops passing around pictures of this guy so far haven't been able to find him. 553. As testimony continues in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial, one of the star witnesses finally has some good news to report.
TMZ is reporting that Cassie Ventura has given birth to her 3rd child, a boy, at a New York City hospital. She went into labor just days after testifying against Combs at his sex trafficking trial, telling jurors about his so-called freak-offs and that he violently abused her. She dated the music mogul for years, and she's the one who Combs is seen kicking and beating in a hotel video that was shown to the jury. Ventura has been married since 2019 and has 2 young daughters. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
9/11 Memorial and Museum in Lower Manhattan will start allowing for field trips for free to the museum for students from New Jersey. Governor Murphy says a new public-private initiative will fund both in-person and virtual trips for schools who can organize the trips for students in grades 3 through 12.
I can think of no better way to honor all of those who we have lost and those who love them.
Teachers will take part in helping to arrange these age-appropriate lessons about the significance of 9/11.
After our field trips, I've seen many students walk away with a stronger sense of civic responsibility.
It sounds like a good idea. Let's go from Lower Manhattan up to the Bronx, where construction getting started for the Bronx Harlem River Greenway. The city's Parks Department says crews are creating 4-lane miles of street-protected bike lanes and green space and making improvements for pedestrian safety in the Bronx, where there's not a lot of bike lanes.
Allowing Bronx residents a safe and scenic way to bike between boroughs to access parks amenities.
Officials say this is part of a 7-mile greenway going from Van Cortlandt Park to Randall's Island Park. Governor Hochul announcing the release of 2 new I Love New York summer ads designed to attract tourists.
This summer in New York State, there's everything to love. From cityscapes to green lakes. Whatever moves you, inspires you, recharges you, you'll find it here. New York State. Everything you love.
All right.
Plan your summer getaway at iloveny.com.
I was waiting for this song, but I Love New York, but it didn't happen there. And we'll end with this story. A Long Island man whose nose was bitten off during a fight is starting to look like himself again after a number of surgeries. 41-year-old Tyson Carter was attacked at a Brentwood bus stop back on January 27th. Now, doctors using 3D technology were able to recreate a nose for him, and it looks like it's almost all done. He's got like another surgery to go. So he and his doctor, Laurent Ganry, went before doctors, before reporters yesterday to talk about using this 3D model of his face and a clay model nose as a template to recreate his nose.
The idea is to take the piece of skin from the forehead and flip it. And with this clay nose, well, now I have a template.
Yeah, I mean, this is really cool. So a flap was created from the skin and muscle on Carter's forehead and arm, and the nose matched to selfies to recreate a nose. I saw pictures of it. It looks pretty good.
Basically, the nose is alive without any further blood supply because there is near neovascularization, new blood vessels that just grow.
Yeah, I think this is so cool. So after surgery, Carter, who's been unable to work because he wears glasses, and with no nose, it's really hard to put glasses on the bridge of a nose that's not there. I mean, it seems kind of simple, but he said, he was beaten up badly, no nose, he didn't look good. Now all that's done. He can wear his glasses again, and he's incredibly thankful to these doctors.
For me, it's like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. For them, it's just kind of business as usual. Without my glasses, I can see maybe about 6 inches in front of me.
Yeah, so he's got one more surgery, but otherwise that nose looks pretty good, which is really pretty cool what they can do.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.